Uh, good afternoon. Cool. Let me lower that a little bit. Alright. Today is gonna be pretty chill. Um yeah, so hold on, let me lower the music for myself as well. So yeah, my bad, I'm still trying to get used to the new setup and everything. So what's going on is a lot of times when I feel like inspired or I wanted to get motivated, one of my favorite things to do was like when I wanted to like study and things like that, or prepare for a presentation or even like a pitch competition or like, you know, whatever shit like that. One of my favorite things to do was like rewatch Mad Men while I study and rehearse and shit like that. So um ever since they took Mad Men off of Netflix, I've been kind of like sort of lostish. Not really. Like I've been kind of like trying to find out like what can I find to fill that gap? Because like I've tried a couple of different shows like Halt and Catch Fire. It's very good. Um, but it's just not Mad Men. Mad Men is like the shit, and like um, my stubborn ass can never get to the point where I would pay for it. You know what I mean? Like, so I actually looked it up, and I think Mad Men was inspired by Confessions of an Advertising Man by David Ogilvy, and I've actually been looking around for it, and the book is expensive as fuck. You know what I mean? Focus, focus. I hate when that camera does that. Okay, there we go. I was about to deactivate and reactivate it. So, whatchamacallit? Yeah, until I find like a proper source for me to like download it or whatever, um, I ended up picking up a different book, also by David Ogilvy, well, which is a little bit more simple, is Ogilvy on Advertising. And yeah, since we're doing Google Ads, I thought this would be like good to like help inspire and motivate myself. And yeah, and if it's something that interests you, you could, you know, hang out while I read it out loud, or if you're watching this video later, you can just like chill with the study with me section. You know what I mean? I'm gonna try to be a little bit more vocal while I study. A friend of mine kind of suggested it, but I think the study with me stream should be like kind of quiet, but I guess it is kind of boring, you know. But yeah. So today, just to like try to like get used to like reading out loud like the stuff that I'm writing, I thought it would be a good idea to get like a little bit of touch of like where the storyline of Mad Men came from by touching on Ogilvy on advertising. Let's just put that there real quick. Pop that bottle over there. Take my braces out. I had a good workout this morning. I feel amazing. And a little bit of Cabernet to, like, you know, just have the whole vibe. And just thinking maybe like a little bit of light music in the background. Just like a little bit. Not too high though. I'm not sure what how loud it is right now. Let me double check. As a matter of fact. It's pretty loud. It's pretty loud. It's pretty loud. Oh shit. Uh, like I want there to be like some music, but not too much. Just like, you know, because I've been digging how this playlist is just like kind of vibes and shit. Seems pretty low to me. I don't know anything with words. Even though this song's pretty good. The Midnight and the Sunset. It's one of the reasons why I like Dance with the Dead though. Maybe like some nice DMCA free lo-fi be the best. As much as I would love to read like while listening to some metal. Okay. And I actually like this background as well. Because it's like literally like, I think it's manga advertising. And yeah, it literally says no copyright right there. So I think we're safe. Could probably actually crank that up a little bit. Sound compared to my voice. Hello. Okay, so let's just lower the lo-fi. It's a little bit too intense. Though, cool. So let's just get started. Ogilvy on advertising. Cool. Chapter 1, Overture. Let us march against Philip. I do not regard advertising as entertainment or an art form, but as a medium of information. When I write an advertisement, I don't want you to tell me that you find it creative. I want you to find it so interesting that you buy the product. When, I don't even know how to say that, Asians? What the hell? That is a really unique name. When Eshin spoke, they said, how well he speaks. But when Demosthenes spoke, they said, let us march against Philip. In my Confessions of an Advertising Man, published in 1963, book that I wanted to read originally, actually. Focus. There we go. Okay. Yeah, but as soon as I figure out the whole Confessions of an Advertising Man situation, we'll get into that as well. I told the story of how Ogilvy and Mather came into existence and set forth the principles on which our early success had been based. What was then little more than a creative boutique in New York has since become one of the 4 biggest advertising agencies in the world. With 140 offices in 40 countries, our principles seem to work. But I am now so old that a French magazine lists me as the only survivor among a group of men who, they ever contributed to the Industrial Revolution, alongside Adam Smith, Edison, Karl Marx, Rockefeller, Ford, and Keynes. Does old age disqualify me from writing about advertising in today's world? Could it be that perspective helps a man to separate the eternal verities of advertising from its passing fads? When I set up shop on Madison Avenue in 1949, I assumed that advertising would undergo several major changes before I retired. So far, there has only been one change that be called major. Television has emerged as the most potent medium for selling most products. Hmm. Wow. What this getting dry? Yes, there have been other changes, and I shall describe them, but their significance has been exaggerated by pundits in search of trendy labels. For example, the concept of brand images, which I popularized in 1953, is not really known. Claude Hopkins had described it 20 years before, the so-called creative revolution, usually ascribed to Bill Bernbach and myself in the 50s, could equally well have been ascribed to N.W. Ayer and Young in Rubicon in the 30s. Meanwhile, most of the advertising techniques which worked when I wrote Confessions of an Advertising Man still work today. I'm not even through the first couple of paragraphs, and this book is making me want to read the other book even fucking more. You fucking kidding me? So consumers still buy products whose advertising promises them value for money, beauty, nutrition, relief from suffering, social status, and so on, all over the world. In saying this, I run the risk of being denounced by the idiots who hold that any advertising technique which has been in use for more than 2 years is ipso facto obsolete. They excoriate slice of life commercials. Excoriate. Jeez, hold up. This dude's hitting me with a whole new vocabulary. Hold on. Excoriate? Censure or criticize severely. Dude, I hate when people try to hit you with the gobbledygook. Just tell me what the fuck you mean, dog. Okay. So, excoriate slice of life commercials, demonstrations, and talking heads, turning a blind eye to the fact that these techniques still make the cash register ring. They have read, of course, they will say that I am difficilis, querulus, laudator, temporis acti, sepuero castigator, censor minorum. So what? Yeah, I'm already falling in love with this book though. He just says all that and he's just so what? I'm bro, you expect me to already know Latin, dog. That's Latin if you guys didn't know. Let's see if they have anything for that. I'm gonna have to Google every other thing. Come on. Control C. I love Google. That's not what I wanted, bitch. Come on, Kindle. Don't make it difficult for me to copy paste. Whatever. There have always been noisy lunatics on the fringes of the advertising business. Their stock in trade include ethnic humor, eccentric art direction, contempt for research, and their self-proclaimed genius. They are seldom found out because they gravitate to the kind of clients who, bamboozled by their rhetoric, do not hold them responsible for sales results. Their campaigns find favor at cocktail parties in New York, San Francisco, and London, but are taken less seriously in Chicago. In the days when I specialized in posh campaigns for the New Yorker, I was the hero of this coterie. But when I graduated to advertising and mass media and wrote a book which extolled the value of research, I became its devil. I comfort myself with the reflection that I have sold more merchandise than all of them put together. I'm sometimes attacked for imposing rules. Nothing could be further from the truth. I hate rules. All I do is report on how consumers react to different stimuli. I may say to a copywriter, research shows that commercials with celebrities are below average in persuading people to buy products. Are you sure you want to use a celebrity? Call that a rule? Or I may say to an art director, research suggests that if you set the copy in black tape on a white background, more people will read it than if you set it in a white type on a black background. A hint, perhaps, but scarcely a rule. In 18th century England, a family of obstetricians built a huge practice by delivering babies with a lower rate of infant and maternal mortality than their competitors. They had a secret and guarded it jealously until an inquisitive medical student climbed onto the roof of their delivering room, looked through the skylight, and saw the forceps they had invented. The secret was out. To the benefit of all obstetricians and their patients, today's obstetricians do not keep their discovery secret. They publish them. I'm grateful to my partners for allowing me to publish mine. I should add that the occasional opinions expressed in this book do not necessarily reflect the collegial opinions of the agency which employs me. This is not a book for readers who think they already know all there is to be known about advertising. It is for young hopefuls and veterans who are still in search of ways to improve their batting average at the cash register. I write only about aspects of advertising. I know from my own experience. This is why this book contains nothing about media, cable television, or advertising in Japan. If you think it is a lousy book, you should have seen it before my partner Joel Raphaelson did his best to Deloise it. Bless you, Joel. Oh man. Oh no. Okay. Chapter 2. How to produce advertising that sells. Pretend you started work this morning in my agency and that you have dropped by my office to ask for advice. I will start with some generalities about how to go about your work. In later chapters, I will give you more specific advice on producing advertisements for magazines, newspapers, television, and radio. I ask you to forgive me for oversimplifying some complicated subjects and for the dogmatism of my style, the dogmatism of brevity. We are both in a hurry. The first thing I have to say is that you may not realize the magnitude of difference between one advertisement and another, says John Caples, the doyen of direct response copywriters. I have seen one advertisement actually sell not twice as much, not 3 times as much, but 19.5 times as much as another. Both advertisements occupied the same space. Both were run in the same publication. Both had photographic illustrations. Both had carefully written copy. The difference was that one used the right appeal and the other used the wrong appeal. The whole thing was John Caples, by the way. The wrong advertising can actually reduce the sales of a product. I am told that George Hay Brown, at one time head of marketing research at Ford, inserted advertisements in every other copy of the Reader's Digest. At the end of the year, the people who had not been exposed to the advertising had bought more Fords than those who had. Fucking dope. In another survey, it was found that consumption of a certain brand of beer was lower among people who remembered its advertising than those who did not. The brewer has spent millions of dollars on advertising which unsold his beer. God. I sometimes wonder if there is a tacit conspiracy among clients. media and agencies to avoid putting advertising to such as tests. Everyone involved has a vested interest in prolonging the myth that all advertising increases sales to some degree. It doesn't. Do your homework. You don't stand a Yo, this dude is hilarious, yo. You don't stand a tinker's chance of producing successful advertising unless you start by doing your homework. I have always found this extremely tedious, but there is no substitute for it. First, study the product you are going to advertise. The more you know about it, the more likely you are to come up with a big idea for selling it. When I got the Rolls-Royce account, I spent 3 weeks reading about the car and came across a statement that at 60 miles an hour, the loudest noise comes from the electric clock. This became the headline, and it was followed by 607 words of factual copy. Later, when I got the Mercedes account, I sent a team to the Daimler-Benz headquarters in Stuttgart. They spent 3 weeks taping interviews with the engineers. From this came a campaign of long factual advertisements, which increased Mercedes sales in the United States from 10,000 cars a year to 40,000. When I was asked to do the advertising for Good Luck Margarine, drink some chill water. When I was asked to do the advertising for Good Luck Margarine, I was under the impression that margarine was made from coal. 10 days reading enabled me to write a factual advertisement, which worked. Same thing with Shell gasoline. A briefing from the client reveals something which came as a surprise to me, that gasoline has several ingredients, including platformate, which increases mileage. The resulting campaign helped to reverse a 7-year decline in Shell's share of the market. Holy crap. If you were too lazy to do this kind of homework, you may occasionally luck into a successful campaign, but you will run the risk of skidding about on what my brother Francis called the slippery surface of irrelevant brilliance. Oh man. I come across that a lot. Your next chore is to find out what kind of advertising your competitors have been doing for similar products, and with what success. This will give you your bearings. Now comes research among consumers. Find out how they think about your kind of product, what language they use when they discuss the subject, what attributes are important to them, and what promise would be most likely to make them buy your brand. If you cannot afford the services of professionals to do this research, do it yourself. Informal conversations with half a dozen housewives can sometimes help a copywriter more than formal surveys in which he does not participate. Positioning. Now consider you want to position your product. This curious verb is in great favor among marketing experts, but no two of them agree with what it means. My own definition is what the product does and who it is for. I could have positioned Dove as a detergent bar for men with dirty hands, but chose instead to position it as a toilet bar for women with dry skin. This is still working 25 years later. In Norway, the Saab car had no measurable profile. We positioned it as a car for winter. 3 years later, it was voted the best car for Norwegian winters. To advertise a car that looked like an orthopedic boot would have defeated me. But Bill Bernbach and his merry men positioned Volkswagen as a protest against the vulgarity of Detroit cars in those days, thereby making the Beetle a cult among those Americans who eschew conspicuous consumption. Let's do brand image. I'm sorry, my mic is it's like in the way. Well, let me just put it right here. I don't like the way that looks though. If I put you, oh fuck it, I'll just deal with it. I'll be alright. You now have to decide what image you want for your brand. Image means personality. Products, like people, have personalities, and they can make or break them in the marketplace. Personality of a product is an amalgam of many things: its name, its packaging, its price, the style of its advertising, and above all, the nature of the product itself. Every advertisement should be thought of as a contribution to the brand image. It follows that your advertising should consistently project the same image year after year. This is difficult to achieve because there are always forces at work to change the advertising. Like a new agency or a new marketing director who wants to make his mark. It pays to give most products an image of quality, a first-class ticket. This is particularly true of products whose brand name is visible to your friends, like beer, cigarettes, and automobiles, products you can wear. If your advertising looks cheap or shoddy, it will rub off on your product. Who wants to be seen using shoddy products? That's why a lot of people chase name brands as well. Take whiskey. Why do some people choose Jack Daniels while others choose Grandad or Taylor? They tried all three and compared the taste? Don't make me laugh. The reality is that these three brands have different brand images which appeal to different kinds of people. It isn't the whiskey they choose, it's the image. The brand image is 90% of what the distiller has to sell. Researchers at the Department of Psychology at the University of California gave distilled water to students. They told some of them that it was distilled water and asked them to describe its taste. Most said it had no taste of any kind. They told the other students that the distilled water came out of the tap. Most of them said it tasted horrible. The mere mention of tap conjured up an image of chlorine. Give people a taste of Old Crow and tell them it's Old Crow, and give them another taste of Old Crow but tell them it's Jack Daniels. Ask them which they prefer. They'll think the two drinks are quite different. They are tasting images. I've always been hypnotized by Jack Daniels. The label and the advertising convey an image of homespun honesty. High price makes me assume that Jack Daniels must be superior. Writing advertising for any kind of liquor is extremely subtle art. I once tried using rational facts to argue the consumer into choosing a brand of whiskey. It didn't work. You don't catch Coca-Cola advertising that Coke contains 50% more cola berries. Next time an apostle of hard sell questions the importance of brand images, ask him how Marlboro climbed from obscurity to become the biggest selling cigarette in the world. Leo Burnett's cowboy campaign started 25 years ago and continued to this day, has given the brand an image which appeals to smokers all over the world. What's the big idea? You can do homework from now until doomsday, but you will never win fame and fortune unless you also invent big ideas. It takes a big idea to attract the attention of consumers and get them to buy your product. Unless your advertising contains a big idea, it will pass like a ship in the night. I doubt if more than one campaign in 100 contains a big idea. I am supposed to be one of the more fertile inventors of big ideas, but in my long career as a copywriter, I've not had more than 20, if that. Big ideas come from the unconscious. This is true in art, in science, and in advertising, but your unconscious has to be well informed, or your idea will be irrelevant. Stuff your conscious mind with information, then unhook your rational thought process. You can help this process by going for a long walk or taking a hot bath or drinking a half pint of claret. Suddenly, if the telephone line from your unconscious is open, a big idea wells up within you. My partner, Esty Stowell, complained that the first commercial I wrote for Pepperidge Farm bread was sound enough, but lacking in imagery. The night I dreamed of two white horses pulling a baker's delivery van along a country lane at a smart trot. Today, 27 years later, that horse-drawn van is still driving up that lane in Pepperidge commercials. It's fucking dope, yo. When asked what was the best asset a man could have, Albert Lasker, the most astute of all advertising men, replied, "Humility in the presence of a good idea." It's horribly difficult to recognize a good idea. I shudder to think how many I have rejected. Research can't help you much because it cannot predict the cumulative value of an idea, and no idea is big unless it will work for 30 years. One of my partners came up with the idea of parading a herd of bulls through a Merrill Lynch commercials under the slogan, "Merrill Lynch is bullish on America." I thought it was dopey, but fortunately it had been approved before I saw it. Those bulls are still parading long after the account moved to another agency. It will help you recognize a big idea if you ask yourself 5 questions. 1. Did it make me gasp when I first saw it? 2. Do I wish I had thought of it myself? 3. Is it unique? 4. Does it fit the strategy to perfection? And 5. Could it be used for 30 years? You can count on your fingers the number of advertising campaigns that run even for 5 years. These are the superstars, the campaigns that go right on producing results through boom and recession, against shifting competitive pressures and changes of personnel. The Hathaway eye patch first appeared in 1951 and is still going strong. Every Dove commercial since 1955 has promised that Dove doesn't dry your skin the way soap can. The American Express commercials, do you know me? Have been running since 1975, and Leo Burnett's Marlboro campaign has been running for 25 years. Make the product the hero. Some water. Whenever you can, make the product itself the hero of your advertising. If you think the product too dull, I have news for you. There are no dull products, only dull writers. I've never assigned a product to a writer unless I know that he is personally interested in it. Every time I have written a bad campaign, it has been because the product did not interest me. A problem which confronts agencies is that so many products are no different from their competitors. Manufacturers have access to the same technology. Marketing people use the same research procedures to determine consumer preference for color, size, design, taste, and so on. When faced with selling parody products, all you can hope to do is explain their virtues more persuasively than your competitors, and to differentiate them by the style of your advertising. This is the added value which advertising contributes, and I am not sufficiently puritanical to hate myself for it. The positively good. My partner Joel Raphaelson has articulated a feeling which has been growing in my mind for some time. This is where it starts. In the past, just about every advertiser has assumed that in order to sell his goods, he has to convince consumers that his product is superior to his competitors. This may not be necessary. It may be sufficient to convince consumers that your product is positively good. If the consumer feels certain that your product is good and feels uncertain about your competitors, he will buy yours. If you and your competitors will make excellent products, don't try to imply that your product is better. Just say what's good about your product and do a clearer, more honest, more informative job of saying it. If this theory is right, sales will swing to the marketer who does the best job of creating confidence that this product is positively good. This approach to advertising parody products does not insult the intelligence of consumers, who can blame you for putting your best foot forward. Oh, God, man. This is why I love Mad Men. It's like, you don't think much of a product, and then somebody out there with enough interest in it and then like dives really deep into like what it does for the people. They turn something small into a behemoth, a hero, a fucking, like, this is just a Blue Yeti mic, but like what it's capable of is so amazing. Same thing with a pencil, same thing with a marker, but like anybody can just look at it and be like whatever, but like a real advertising man, like a real marketer will show you that you can literally create the world with it. Like it's fucking incredible, yo. That's what I love about advertising. Okay, next one. Repeat your winners. If you're lucky enough to write a good advertisement, repeat it until it stops selling. Scores of good advertisements have been discarded before they lost their potency. Research shows that the readership of an advertisement does not decline when it is run several times in the same magazine. Readership remains at the same level throughout at least 4 repetitions. You aren't advertising to a standing army. You are advertising to a moving parade. The advertisement which sold a refrigerator to couples who got married last year will probably be just as successful with couples who get married this year. A good advertisement can be thought of as a radar sweep, constantly hunting new prospects as they come into the market. Get a good radar and keep it sweeping. Nah. I'm like reading a book, bro. I appreciate it though. I wasn't expecting to get an offer to play zombies like mid like reading and shit. Like by the way, this is David Ogilvy's like thoughts on advertising. This dude, these people, man, they're fucking incredible, dog. Like I don't have anything to fill my fix of Mad Men, so like the heart of Mad Men actually came from like these books, so like Confessions of an Advertising Man, and like in this book as well. And like yeah, like I thought maybe a good idea to like inspire me to like, you know, like study and shit like that, because I still have like a lot of work to do. But, like 1 hour, you know what I'm saying, not too much, just something to get me like hyped. And like I'm really glad I did this. Like this dude is hilarious and like so insightful, man. I don't read books often at all. I'm sorry, bro. You had to check the title before you came in, dude. Sorry, dog. Dude, when I finished the whatchamacallit, the Google Ads class, I can like play zombies without like thinking about it, and then like I'll feel so much better, dude. Because otherwise, if I like just hop on Outbreak right now, like in the back of my head, I'm like, fuck, I gotta study. Fuck, I gotta study. Fuck, I gotta study. And like, you know what I mean? Like I'm not gonna be able to have as much fun as I want to, you know? I appreciate you coming in though. Like, you know, I appreciate the love, dog. But let me get my hour in so I can keep studying and shit. So Where was I at? Oh yeah, so I was at repeater winners. Let's see. Dude, yo, Spy Killer, like G shit though. Like I really appreciate it though, man. Like I feel loved. I feel loved. Yeah, like if you were ever like a fan of like Mad Men and shit like that, like I never really like got into the David Ogilvy books, but like I just thought for fun, like fuck it. You know what I'm saying? Let me see where I was at. Yo, good try though. That was a very good try. Yeah, I had to think about it. Like I had to stop and think about it for a second. You know? Like, focus. Fucking camera's always acting up now. Turn this fan on. So where the fuck was I? Oh yeah, get a good radar and keep it sweeping. So, Henry Ford once said to a copywriter on his account, "Bill, that campaign of yours is dandy, but do we have to run it forever?" To which the copywriter replied, "Mr. Ford, the campaign has not yet appeared. Ford has seen it too often at too many meetings. The best way to settle such arguments is to measure the selling effectiveness of your campaign at regular intervals and to go on running it until the research shows that it has worn out." Word of mouth. Sometimes happens that advertising campaigns enter the culture. Thus, the musical theme in a Maxwell House coffee commercial became number 7 on the hit parade. After Commander Whitehead started appearing in Schweppes advertising, he became a popular participant in talk shows on television. This kind of thing is manna from heaven, but nobody knows how to do it on purpose. At least I don't, especially me. 50 years ago, attempts were made in England to cultivate word-of-mouth advertising by spreading anecdotes like this one. An old farmer was walking down a road, bent double with rheumatism. Someone in a Rolls Royce stopped to speak to him, told him to take Beecham's pills. Do you know who it was? The King's doctor. End quote. That was pretty lame to me. Down with committees. Most campaigns are too complicated. They reflect a long list of objectives and try to reconcile the divergent views of too many executives. By attempting to cover too many things, they achieve nothing. Many commercials and many advertisements look like the minutes of a committee. In my experience, committees can criticize, but they cannot create. Search the parks in all your cities. You'll find no statues of committees. Damn. Agencies have a way of creating campaigns and committees. They call it teamwork. Who can argue with teamwork? The process of producing advertising campaigns moves at a snail's pace. Questions of strategy are argued by committees of the client's brand managers and the agency's account executives who have vested interest in prolonging the argument as much as possible. It's how they earn their living. Researchers take months to answer elementary questions. When the copywriters finally get down to work, they dawdle about in brainstorming sessions and other forms of wheel spinning. If a copywriter averages an hour a week actually writing, he is exceptional. The average period of gestation is somewhere between that of hyenas. Oh my god. The average period of gestation is somewhere between that of hyenas, 110 days, and goats, 151 days. For example, storyboards for commercials are argued at level after level in the agency, level after level in the client's organization. If they survive, they are then produced and tested. The average copywriter only gets 3 commercials a year on air. Bro, this dude, he literally has like a bar chart for gestation periods, starting from rats at 22 days all the way up to elephants 365 days. It takes elephants a year to gestate, whatever the fuck. Jeez. Hold on. Is gestation the same as digesting? Gestation. Oh, whoops. Gestation is the process of carrying or being carried in the womb between conception and birth. Whoops. That's why I'm not an obstetrician. Whatever. Damn, it takes elephants 360 a whole year to give birth, and rabbits 22 days. Damn, I feel bad for New York right now. Wonder if fucking rats are like fucking like all over the place. Okay, this one's called Ambition. Few copywriters are ambitious. It does not occur to them that if they tried hard enough, they might double the client's sales and make themselves famous. Raise your sights, I exhort them. Blaze new trails. Hit the ball out of the park. Compete with the immortals. Leo Burnett said it better. When you reach for the stars, you may not quite get one, but you won't come up with a handful of mud either. It's not bad. Pursuit of knowledge. Once asked Sir Hugh Rigby, surgeon to King George V, what makes a great surgeon? Sir Hugh replied, there isn't much to choose between surgeons and manual dexterity. What distinguishes the great surgeons is that he knows more than other surgeons. It is the same with advertising agents. The good ones know more. I asked an indifferent copywriter what books he had read about advertising. He told me that he had not read any. He preferred to rely on his own intuition. Suppose I asked, your gallbladder has to be removed this evening. Will you choose a surgeon who has read some books on anatomy and knows where to find your gallbladder, or a surgeon who relies on his intuition? Why should our clients be expected to bet millions of dollars on your intuition? This willful refusal to learn the rudiments of the craft is all too common. I cannot think of any other profession which gets by on such a small corpus of knowledge. Millions are spent on testing individual commercials and advertisements, but next to nothing is done to analyze the results of those tests in search of plus and minus factors. Advertising textbooks have nothing to say on the subject. When he had been head of J. Walter Thompson for 45 years, the great Stanley Resser told me, every year we spend hundreds of millions of dollars of our clients' money. At the end of it, what do we know? Nothing. So 2 years ago, I asked 4 of our people to try and identify factors which usually work. They already have 12. I was too polite to tell them I had 96. Advertising agencies waste their clients' money repeating the same mistakes. I recently counted 49 advertisements set in reverse, white type on black background, in one issue of a magazine. Long years after research demonstrated that reverse is difficult to read. What is the reason for this failure to codify the experience? Is that advertising does not attract inquiring minds? Is it that any kind of scientific method is beyond the grasp of creative people? Are they afraid that knowledge would impose some discipline on their work? It has not always been so. When George Gallup was research director at Young and Rubicam in the 30s, he not only measured the readership of advertisements, he accumulated the scores and analyzed them. Certain techniques he found consistently outperformed others. A brilliant art director called Vaughn Flannery latched on to Gallup's discoveries and applied them. Within a few months, Young and Rubicon advertisements were being read by more people than any other agencies, to the incalculable benefit of their clients. Mel Shepherd conducted similar research on the editorial content in Macau's and came up with similar results. He found, for example, that photographs of finished dishes consistently attracted more readers than photographs of the raw ingredients. Recipes printed on recipe cards were surefire with housewives. Using the same research technique, Harold Sykes measured the readership of advertisements in newspapers. He reported that editorial graphics were consistently high performers. In 1947, Harold Rudolph, who had been research director in Sterling Getchell's agency, published a book on the subject. One of his observations was that photographs with an element of story appeal were far above average in attracting attention. This led me to put an eye patch on the model in my advertisements for Hathaway shirts. Later, the advertising community turned its back on such research. Agencies which pioneered the search for knowledge which now excel in violating the principles their predecessors had discovered. Clients sometimes change agencies because one agency can buy circulation at a slightly lower cost than another. They don't realize that a copywriter who knows his factors, the triggers which make people read advertisements, can reach many times more readers than a copywriter who doesn't. That's very, very true. Like, that actually resonates with pay per click and like cost per click and all that shit. Like, it costs more to get like the better words and phrases and such keywords, but like you're it's not like the cheaper ones are just not that attractive. Not that many people will search for I can't even think of like garbage keywords like the garbage keywords will be like much cheaper, but like nobody uses them. So what's the point? That's just wasting money. For 35 years, I have continued on the course charted by Gallup, collecting factors the way other men collect pictures and postage stamps. If you choose to ignore these factors, good luck to you. A blind pig can sometimes find truffles, but it helps to know that they are found in oak forests. It is remarkable how little the plus and minus factors have changed over the years. With very few exceptions, consumers continue to react to the same techniques in the same ways. The lessons of direct response. For all their research, most advertisers never know for sure whether their advertisements sell. Too many other factors cloud the equation, but direct response advertisers who solicit orders by mail or telephone know to a dollar how much each advertisement sells. So watch the kind of advertising they do. You will notice important differences between their techniques and the techniques of general advertisers. For example, let me some water for this. General advertisers use 30-second commercials, but the direct response fraternity have learned that it is more profitable to use 2-minute commercials. Who do you suppose is more likely to be right? General advertisers broadcast their commercials in expensive prime time when the audience is at its peak, but direct response advertisers have learned that they make more sales late at night. Who do you suppose is more likely to be right? In their magazine advertisements, general advertisers use short copy, but the direct response people invariably use long copy. Who do you suppose is more likely to be right? I'm convinced that if all advertisers were to follow the example of their direct response brethren, they would get more sales per dollar. Every copywriter should start his career by spending 2 years in direct response. One glance at any campaign tells me whether its author has ever had that experience. Do I practice what I preach? Not always. I've created my share of fancy campaigns, but if you ask which of my advertisements has been the most successful, I will answer without hesitation that it was the first ad I wrote for industrial development in Puerto Rico. It won no awards for creativity, but it persuaded scores of manufacturers to start factories in that poverty-stricken island. Sad to say, an agency which produced nothing but this kind of down-to-earth advertising would never win a reputation for creativity and would wither on the vine. What is a good advertisement? An advertisement which pleases you because of its style, or an advertisement which sells the most? They are seldom the same. Go through a magazine and pick out the advertisements you like best. You'll probably pick those with beautiful illustrations or clever copy. You forget to ask yourself whether your favorite advertisements would make you want to buy the product, says Rosser Reeves of the Ted Bates Agency. I'm not saying that charming, witty, and warm copy won't sell. I'm just saying that I've seen thousands of charming, witty campaigns that didn't. Let's say you are a manufacturer. Your advertising isn't working and your sales are going down, and everything depends on it. Future depends on it. Family's future depends on it. Other people's families depend on it. And you walk in this office and talk to me, and you sit in that chair. Now, what do you want out of me? Fine writing? Do you want masterpieces? Do you want glowing things that can be framed by copywriters? Or do you want the goddamn sales curve to stop moving down and start moving up? The cult of creativity. The Benton and Bowles agency holds that if it doesn't sell, it isn't creative. Amen. You won't find creativity in a 12-volume Oxford dictionary. Do you think it means originality? Says Reeves. Originality is the most dangerous word in advertising. Preoccupied with originality, copywriters pursue something as illusory as swamp fire, which the Latin phrase of ignis fatuus? Swamp fire, ignis fatuus. Mozart said, I have never made the slightest effort to compose anything original. I occasionally use this hideous word creative myself, for lack of a better. If you take the subject more seriously than I do, I suggest you read The Creative Organization, published by the University of Chicago Press. Meanwhile, I have to invent a big idea for a new advertising campaign. I have to invent it before Tuesday. Creativity strikes me as a highfalutin word for the work to do between now and Tuesday. A few years ago, Harry McMahon drew attention to the kind of commercials which were winning the famous Clio Awards for creativity. Agencies that won 4 of the Clios had lost their accounts. Another Clio winner was out of business. Another Clio winner had taken its budget out of TV. Another Clio winner had given half of his account to another agency. Another refused to put his winning entry on the air. Of 81 television classics picked by the Clio Festival in previous years, 36 of the agencies involved had either lost the account or gone out of business. That's fucking. If you don't know, the Clios are like these really it's like the Grammys for advertising. Blah blah blah. Next, what about sex? The first advertisement I ever produced showed a naked woman. It was a mistake, not because it was sexy, but because it was irrelevant to the product. A cooking stove. What? Oh my god. This motherfucker Oh my god, I'm gonna fuck up my sweater. It's all good. I just got on my pants. This motherfucker. Yo, if I read out some like weird like you know you know misogynistic shit, like I'm sorry. Can't believe this motherfucker said that shit. The first advertisement I ever produced showed a naked woman. It was a mistake, not because it was sexy, but because it was irrelevant to the product, a cooking stove. This motherfucker. Oh, it's not that bad. This is my first advertisement and it embarrasses me to reproduce it. No headline, no promise, no information about the product. Certainly, nobody has ever shown a nude in an advertisement before, but in this case, it was irrelevant to the product. Oh, shit. I've seen worse. Like, I honestly don't think it's like horrible, but like, I don't know. Like, I honestly don't even think I'd be violating TOS if I showed you guys. But yeah, just look it up. David Ogilvy, first advertisement, AGA cooker. Like, it's, yeah, it's basic as hell. Okay, to continue. The test is relevance. To show bosoms in a detergent advertisement would not sell the detergent, nor is there any excuse for the sexy girls you sometimes see draped across the hoods in automobile advertisements. On the other hand, there is a functional reason to show nudes in advertisements for beauty products. Advertising reflects the mores of society, but it does not influence them. Thus, it is that you find more explicit sex in magazines and novels than in advertisements. The word fuck is commonplace in contemporary literature, but has yet to appear in advertisements. There used to be an unwritten law against showing women in advertisements for cigarettes. It was not until long after people got used to seeing them smoke in public that this taboo was lifted. I was the first to show women in liquor advertisements, 30 years after they started drinking in public. Not long ago, all Paris was agog over a series of posters which appeared on the hoardings. The first showed a nubile girl in a bikini saying, "On September 2nd, I will take off the top." On September 2nd, a new poster appeared. She had taken off the top. This time she promised, "On September 4th, I will take off the bottom." All Paris was asking if she would also keep this promise. She did. Few Parisians were shocked, but I would not advise you to put up these posters in South Dakota. In Pakistan, an Islamic authority recently complained that our women are being exploited and commercialized on television and in the newspapers. This goes against God's will and violates the tradition of purdah dictated in the Quran. He proposed a ban on women appearing in advertisements. In Saudi Arabia, it is illegal to use photographs of women in advertising, but okay to use drawings, provided you don't show bare arms or cleavage. When a commercial for a soft drink showed a little girl licking her lips because she liked the taste, it was banned as obscene. Oh shit. And then they show the picture of the advertising in Paris. It's alright. I don't know. Well, back then it would have been like, chaos, but like nowadays, it's like, what do you fucking do? Oh yeah, and when she took off the bottom, obviously she flipped around, so she didn't show off the, what do you call it, the camel toe. I'm saying, but yeah, I could see her booty. It's alright. Fat better. Well, we were on the subject of taste. Pause. Well, we were on the subject of taste. I deplore the current fashion of using clergymen, monks, and angels as comic figures in advertising. It may amuse you, but it shocks a lot of people. But I don't object to scatological humor in advertising. I had no qualms about presenting the grand prize in a Clio ceremony to a Japanese soap commercial which featured a small boy farting in a public bath. The most risque copy I have seen was for Paco Rabanne's men's cologne. Sales went up 25%, and the advertisement was voted the best to appear in magazines in 1981. Which one is the? Oh, maybe it's on the next page. It's just a bunch of like booby advertisements on the book right now. The Health Education Council in England uses advertising to encourage girls to get free contraceptives from family planning clinics. It's not bad. There's a lot more boobies in this book than I was expecting. Like, I was expecting none. Now, every other page I'm seeing boobies. Wait. Is that the Paco Rabanne? The Paco Rabanne commercial looks like a dude like in bed. He has his like, sheets on. Doesn't like look pretty crazy to me. The room looks dope as fuck though. Dude's room is fucking fleet. Like it is fucking nice. And he has like a painting easel and shit like that in the corner. I can't really explain much more in depth, but like, the dude's room is dope. I guess wear this cologne, you'll have a room like this, or you'll be like this guy, kind of like the Dos Equis commercials. So you want to be like the Dos Equis man, you gotta drink Dos Equis. You know what I'm saying? The free contraceptives ad was like, it's pretty blatant. It's just like all black background, like two pairs of feet, and then obvious like, they're doing something kind of position, and then just two thought bubbles. One is like, I hope he's careful, and the dude is like, I hope she's on the pill. It's pretty basic, but you get it. If you follow the advice I've given you, you will do your homework, avoid committees, learn from research. Watch what the direct response advertisers do and stay away from irrelevant sex. In later chapters, I will uncork some of the things I have learned about producing print advertisements, which make the cash register ring. After that, television. Like this guy, I am not completely sure. There might be some negative things said about him. I'm not sure. But like, you gotta really appreciate that like a lot of these people are from a different era. Or like a lot of the stuff they said, misogyny or otherwise, was like, it was normal and appropriate. Well, not appropriate, but like, it was normal, I guess. As far as appropriate and normal, I'm saying, like, it's difficult to get to. You know what I'm saying? Summarize what I'm trying to say. A lot of the shit they got away with back then would not fly today. Would not fly today at all. Zero. Cool. Number 3, Chapter 3, Jobs in Advertising and How to Get Them. Cosimo de' Medici persuaded Benvenuto Cellini, Florentine sculptor, to enter his service by writing him a letter which concluded, "Come, I will choke you with gold." Bro. Dude, I admire motherfuckers like that, dog. I will choke you with fucking gold, bitch. Dude. And that's one of the reasons why, like, I'm really interested in, like, the Google Ads course. Like, he doesn't really reflect that kind of statement, but the dude running the masterclass, he a lot of times, like, just out of nowhere, like, he's just like, yo, we're gonna fucking crush the competition. Like, do whatever you can to demolish them ethically. Ethically demolish the competition. Like, I can see, like, he's like really chill, vibing. He knows his shit. Obviously, that's why he's teaching the class. But he's just like, yeah, I know my shit, and I'm ready to fucking take out the competition without hesitation, just straight. Crap. Should I do chapter 3 or should I start studying? Chapter 3 is so interesting. I wonder if, like, I should start from there next time. Fuck. You know what? I know damn well it hasn't been an hour. Fuck. Damn. Okay, one more chapter. And then, fuck, I really have to study though. But that "come, I will choke you with gold" line is, like, really hitting me right now. Let me use the bathroom real quick and I'll be right back. Fucking lie though, I completely forgot I read this book a long time ago. There's certain books that, like, I just, like, end up rereading, like, or like the dude from Fight Club. Oh my god, he actually has this book called Choke that I actually read a couple times. It's fucking awesome, yo. I was, like, back in middle school, I read that book. Choke. Okay. So let's do one more chapter. and I gotta go make something to eat, and then I'm just gonna study for the rest of the day until I work. Stop it. Just put that over there. Okay. One more time. I can't imagine this is like too long, is it? Let me lower the music a little bit. It's lo-fi, so I can't imagine it being like overpowering my voice. Check. I think Spy Killer would have told me, turn that shit down. I can't hear you. Yeah, there's no way this is overpowering my voice. Sure. Check out my background, by the way. My best part though. Back and goes this shit though. Okay, so again, chapter 3, jobs in advertising and how to get them. Cosimo de Medici persuaded Benvenuto Cellini, the Florentine sculptor, to enter his service by writing him a letter which concluded, "Come, I will choke you with gold." You can join a television network, a radio station, a magazine, or a newspaper and sell time or space to advertisers and their agencies. Oh, I'm sorry. Advertising offers 4 different career paths. I think it's a little bit more wide. Well, let's see. 1, you can join a television network, radio station, magazine, or newspaper and sell time or space to advertisers and their agencies. 2, you can join a retailer like Sears, Roebuck, and work as a copywriter, art director, or advertising manager. 3, you can join a manufacturing company like Procter & Gamble and work as a brand manager. What the fuck? 4, you can join an advertising agency. These are not watertight compartments. Copywriters trained at Sears Roebuck sometimes migrate to agencies. Brand managers escape from Procter & Gamble to join agencies. Time buyers at agencies move to broadcasting networks. I'm competent to write only about jobs in agencies. I don't know any other trade which offers such variety. The atmosphere is extraordinarily stimulating. Agencies are psychological hothouses. You will never be bored. All the big agencies are international and offer job opportunities in Europe, Asia, and Latin America. If you're fluent in a foreign language, it helps. More Japanese and Mandarin coming soon. At the start of your career in advertising, what you learn is more important than what you earn. Some agencies take great pains to train their people. As in teaching hospitals, their top people devote an enormous amount of time to teaching the interns. Agency employees in countries where advertising is relatively mature do not always welcome attempts to teach them. However, wet behind the ears, they believe that they have nothing to learn. But in Asia and other developing areas, they welcome lecturers with open arms and hang on their every word. Not surprisingly, Asian standards of competence are rapidly improving. I now see campaigns in India, Thailand, Singapore, Hong Kong, Malaysia, and Indonesia, which are better than many campaigns coming out of Europe and the United States. Very true, very true. Can't say one like off the top of my head, but I've seen some amazing things, like countries. Copywriters. Like all trades and professions, advertising has its establishment. You will find the names in the roster of 84 men and 4 women who have been elected to the Advertising Hall of Fame since its foundation 32 years ago. I regret to say that only 13 of them are copywriters. Copywriters may not be the most visible people in agencies, but they are the most important. The hallmarks of a potentially successful copywriter include obsessive curiosity about products, people, and advertising, a sense of humor, a habit of hard work, the ability to write interesting prose for printed media, and natural dialogue for television, the ability to think visually. Television commercials depend more on pictures than words. The ambition to write better campaigns than anyone has ever written before. Well, I'm sorry, I haven't eaten, so like I drank a meal replacement, but like I haven't like really eaten. So like, yeah, let's get through this chapter. The ambition to write better campaigns than anyone has ever written before. Most good copywriters, says William Maynard of the Bates Agency, fall into 2 categories: poets and killers. Poets see an ad as an end, killers as a means to an end. If you are both killer and poet, you get rich. Art directors. You cannot get a job as an art director unless you have had some training in film, layout, photography, and typography. It helps to be endowed with good taste. Since print went out of fashion, many art directors have turned themselves into television producers. Television, being a visual medium, is a natural outlet for their talents. Art directors used to be the handmaidens of copywriters, but they have now gone up in the world. Indeed, some art directors have risen to become distinguished. Creative directors, notably Bob Gage at Doyle Dane and Bernbach, Al Riney and at Ogilvy and Mather, and Keith Reinhardt at Needham, Harper and Steers. I will do horrible things to work at Ogilvy and Mather. Horribly pleasant. Account executives. The chief role of account executives is to extract the best possible work from the other departments of the agency. They are in daily touch with clients. If I wanted to become an account executive, I would first spend a couple of years at Procter & Gamble in brand management, followed by a year in a consumer research company, learning what makes people tick, particularly people who are less well educated than I am. Some agencies now hire more women account executives than men. In the New York office of Ogilvy and Mather, 69% of the account executives are women. Really? Not that they're women, but the 69%. Nice. It used to be that account executives were better paid and the brand managers who were their opposite numbers on the client side and were often responsible not only for the advertising, but for the total marketing plan. But those days are over. The clients now recruit at the same business schools and pay higher salaries than agencies. As a result, the role of the account executive at many agencies has been reduced to one of coordination. On an airplane not long ago, I overheard the following conversation. What business you in? Engineer, you? I'm an account executive in an ad agency. You write ads? No, copywriters do that. That must be a fun job. It's not that easy. We do a lot of research. You do the research? No. We have research people for that. Do you bring in new clients? That's not my job. Forgive me, but what is your job? Marketing. You do the marketing for the clients? No, they do it themselves. Are you in management? No, but I soon will be. If this dismal dialogue does not put you off, and you still want to start your career as an Oh my god, this dude is gold, yo. If this dismal dialogue does not put you off, and you still want to start your career as an account executive, I repeat the advice I offered in my confessions. Set yourself to becoming the best informed person in the agency on the account to which you are assigned. If, for example, it is a gasoline account, read books on oil geology and the production of petroleum products. Read the trade journals in the field. Spend Saturday mornings in service stations, talking to motorists. Visit your clients' refineries and research laboratories. At the end of your first year, you will know more about the oil business than your boss and be ready to succeed him. Most of the work you do will be routine maintenance. Your golden opportunity will come when you rise to a great occasion. Some years ago, Lever Brothers asked their 7 agencies to submit policy papers on the television medium, which was then quite new. The other agencies put in adequate papers of 5 or 6 pages, but a young man on my staff took the trouble to assemble every conceivable statistic, and after working day and night for 3 weeks, came up with an analysis which covered 177 pages. The following year, he was elected to our board of directors. Some young men and women are attracted by the travel and entertainment which attach to the work of an account executive. They soon find that lunching in an expensive restaurant is no fun if you have to explain a declining share of the market while eating the souffle. Riding the circuit of test markets can be a nightmare if one of your children is in the hospital. Account executives can be divided into custodians and contributors. You can probably get by if you never function as more than a channel of communication between your client and your service departments, like a waiter who shuttles between the chefs in the kitchen and the customers in the dining room. No doubt you will perform this function with aplomb, but I hope you will contribute more than that, like inventing big ideas for selling the product. However hard you work and however knowledgeable you become, you will be unable to represent your agency at the client's policy levels until you are at least 30 years old. One of my partners owes the rapidity of his ascent to the fact that he had the good fortune to have his hair turned white at 27. You will never become a successful account executive unless you learn to make good presentations. Most of your clients will be corporations, and you must be able to sell campaigns to their committees. Your presentations must be well written and well delivered. Do not make the common mistake of regarding your clients as dopes. Make friends with them, buy shares in their companies, but try not to become entangled in their politics. Emulate Talleyrand, who served France through 7 regimes. Hmm. Forgive me if I'm not familiar with Talleyrand. Always tell your client what you would do if you were in his shoes, but don't grudge him the prerogative. I didn't know there was an R there. Prerogative of deciding what advertising to run. It is his product, his money, and ultimately his responsibility. In your day-to-day dealings with clients and colleagues, fight for the kings and queens and bishops, but throw away the pawns. A habit of graceful surrender on trivial issues will make you difficult to resist when you stand and fight on a major issue. Don't discuss your client's business in public places. Keep their secrets under lock and key. A reputation for leaking can ruin you. Learn to write lucid memoranda. The senior people to whom they are addressed have more homework than you do. The longer and more turgid your memos, the less likely they are to be read by executives who have the power to act on them. In 1941, Winston Churchill sent the following memo to the First Lord of Admiralty. Pray state this day on one side of a sheet of paper how the Royal Navy is being adapted to meet the conditions of modern warfare. Next subject, researchers. To get a job in the research department of a good agency, you probably need a degree in statistics or psychology. You also need an analytical mind and the ability to write readable reports. You must also be able to work sympathetically with creative people, most of whom are stubbornly allergic to research. Above all, you must be intellectually honest. A researcher who injects bias into his reports does awful damage. I don't like bias. Bias sucks. Grateful as I am to the researchers who have helped me to produce effective advertising, I have 9 bones to pick with them. Oh my god. And the first one is long as fuck. Unless there's more to it, hold on. Nope, there is definitely 9, and the first one is like 3 paragraphs. The other ones are short, but okay. First bone. This makes me want to play Skull the Hero Slayer. They take 3 months when I only have 3 weeks. When Eisenhower was president, the White House called Dr. Gallup one evening at 6 o'clock. Eisenhower wanted to know the state of public opinion on an important issue of foreign policy. The report had to be on the president's desk at 8 o'clock the next morning. Gallup sent for 6 of his henchmen and dictated 3 questions. Then each of the henchmen telephoned 6 interviewers in different parts of the country, and they interviewed 10 people each. By midnight, they had called in their results. Gallup tabulated them, wrote his report, and dictated it to a White House stenographer. The report was on Eisenhower's desk 2 hours before it was due. Now, if only I could say that about my college papers. Nor is this merely an example of presidential clout. When Robert Kennedy lost the Oregon primary in 1968, his campaign manager had a research report on his desk 18 hours after the polls closed, analyzing the reasons for his defeat. When I first went to run the Audience Research Institute for Dr. Gallup, it took our statisticians 2 months to deliver their reports. I bullied them into telescoping the work into 2 days, thereby making the reports of much greater value to the Hollywood executives who were our clients. So why does it take agency researchers 3 months to answer a few simple questions? They are natural slowpokes and too frightened of making mistakes. Been there. 2. Second bone. They cannot agree among themselves on methodology. It recently took the research directors of the 21 biggest agencies 2 years to reach agreement on the principles which should govern copy testing. Now they have started to debate methodology. 5 years? Third bone. It is in research departments that you find the eggheads of the agency business. Too many of them are more interested in sociology and economics than advertising. They concentrate their attention on subjects which are only peripherally related to advertising. Fourth bone. They have little or no system for retrieving research which has already been conducted. Reports are read, sometimes acted on, and filed. 2 years later, the researcher, the account executive, the copywriter, and the brand manager have moved to fresh pastures. Even if somebody remembers that the research was done, nobody can find it. So we reinvent the wheel, year after year. Mind you, this was I think this was published in 1963, if not this book, but the previous one. So yeah, we're talking about pre-internet. So yeah, I could literally find the research right now. Fifth bone. Advertising research is full of fads. In the 60s, we saw eye cameras, Latin squares, factorials, randomized blocks, Greco-Latin squares. Some of them were useful, but all went out of fashion. Bone number 6. Researchers use graphs which are incomprehensible to laymen, and the reports are too long. When he was an executive at Procter & Gamble, Ralph Glendenning refused to read any research report which was more than 1/4 of an inch thick. Okay, true. Fuck that. I'm not reading that shit. Researchers have a maddening way of refusing to undertake projects which they consider imperfect by the perfectionist standards, even when the project would produce actionable results. Said Winston Churchill, perfectionism is spelled paralysis. Very true, very true. Don't try so hard to be perfect. It's not that. It's not a big deal. Bone to pick number 8. 99 researchers out of 100 content themselves with conducting surveys for which they are asked, but seldom take initiatives. Stop asking them questions, and they grind to a halt. Bone to pick number 9. First of all, researchers use pretentious jargon, such as attitudinal paradigms, judgmentally, demassification, reconceptualize, suboptimal, symbiotic linkage, splinterization. Come off it, professor. Yo, I was just complaining about this dude's jargon from the beginning of the book, though. This is good. Oh, but yeah, those are his 9 bones. Okay. Next section, media. I have never worked in the media department of an agency, but observation of those who have been successful in this field leads me to think that they need an analytical mind, the ability to communicate numerical data in non-numerical formats, stability under pressure, and a taste for negotiation with the owners of media. Chief Executive Officer. Next one. That was a really short paragraph. The most difficult job in an agency is Chief Executive Officer. He or she must be a good leader of frightened people. He must have financial acumen, administrative skill, thrust, and the courage to fire non-performers. He must be a good salesman because he is responsible for bringing in new clients. He must be resilient in adversity. Above all, he must have the physical stamina to work 12 hours a day, dine out several times a week, and spend half his time in airplanes. A recent study reveals that the death rate from stress-related causes is 14% higher among senior advertising executives than their counterparts in other white-collar occupations. Creative director. As a creative director myself, I dare to list the attributes needed for this back-breaking job. You must be 1. a good psychologist. 2, willing and able to set high standards. 3, an efficient administrator. 4, capable of strategic thinking, positioning, and all that. That's literally what it says. 5, research minded. 6, equally good at television and print. 7, equally good at packaged goods and other kinds of accounts. 8, well versed in graphics and typography. 9, a hard worker and fast. 10, slow to quarrel. 11, prepare to share credit for good work and accept blame for bad work. 12, good presenter. 13, a good teacher and a good recruiter. 14, full of infectious joie de vivre. Joie de vivre. Notice that I put good psychologist at the top of the list. Albert Lasker, who made the largest fortune in the history of the advertising business, once told a group of copywriters, "You think managing copywriters is a snap? You have taken some hairs out of me. I had a breakdown that kept me 5.5 months. I couldn't talk for 5 minutes without starting to weep." I feel it. Next section. Women in advertising. I hope he doesn't make me say anything misogynistic, I'm sorry. But feminists are doing dreadful things to the English language. I'm sorry. Okay. I refuse to write spokesperson, chairperson, house husband, or woman hole cover. Like most boys in my generation, I started life believing that women belonged in the home until I noticed how much happier my mother was when she went out to work. My first woman, vice president, was Riva Corda, a brilliant copywriter who later became head of the creative department. For all her brains and ability, even Riva encountered male copywriters and art directors who felt uncomfortable working under any woman. But there are now 52 women vice presidents in the New York office of Ogilvy and Mather. There appears to be no resentment of them among the male staff. The majority of people now being recruited by advertising agencies in the United States for so-called professional jobs are women. Fucking awesome. And he wrote this like back in the 60s. Firing and hiring. Agencies used to fire people with a hat. Sterling Getchell's otherwise admirable agency had a turnover in staff of 137% in 1 year. Another agency fired a copywriter because he dared to talk to the boss in the men's room. Yeah, I don't like that shit. Today, the boot is on the other foot. The people who work in agencies are lamentably nomadic. I recently hired a 40-year-old copywriter who had already changed jobs 11 times. You might suppose that a business which depends entirely on the talent of its people would take recruiting seriously. That is not yet the case. In most agencies, recruiting is still sloppy and haphazard. Even today, it is rare for any agency to ask an applicant's former employers what they think of them. I know 2 men who were hired and fired as presidents of 3 agencies, without their references being checked. Next one. Education for advertising. 87 American universities offer undergraduate courses in advertising, and some even give degrees in it. With a few conspicuous exceptions, the teachers lack the practical experience to be relevant. All of them are handicapped by the poor quality of the textbooks, and very few do research of their own. Most of their graduates get jobs with small agencies, the big agencies preferring to recruit people who have furnished their minds by studying history languages, economics, and so forth. The fashion for recruiting at schools of business administration seems to have passed its peak. Give or take a few stars like the Baker Scholars at the Harvard Business School, their alumni are more remarkable for stodginess and arrogance than imagination. Social status. When I was a door-to-door salesman for Aga cooking stoves in Scotland, I paid a cold call on an aristocrat. He threw me out. What right had I to invade his privacy? Sir, I said, you are a director of two companies which sell their products door to door. How dare you insult me for doing something which your own salesmen do every day? His disdain for salesmen is mirrored in the snobbish attitude of the British establishment towards advertising. Not so in the United States. Moonlighting. If you need more income than your agency is willing to pay you, make up the difference by moonlighting. I've been moonlighting for 30 years. The Curtis Publishing Company gave me 2 magnificent china lamps for writing an advertisement for Holiday magazine. They had been bullying their editors, and I had the reason to believe that they were about to fire Ted Patrick, the marvelous editor of Holiday. So I persuaded the heads of the 12 biggest agencies to join me in a testimonial to Ted, applauding him for his indifference to the heckling of publishers. The Curtis people were too dumb to realize that this would make it impossible for them to fire Ted, and ran my advertisement. The Reader's Digest gave $10,000 to the Scottish school which had educated me in return for an advertisement I wrote for them. Omega, the watch company, paid me 25 grand to spend 4 days at their headquarters in Switzerland, advising them how to improve their advertising. To my surprise, they got their money's worth. Even today, I am retained by the Campbell Soup Company as their consultant on marketing. And let me see. There's an image of his little advertisement for an open letter to Ted Patrick from 12 holidays, 3,263,000 readers. That's fucking dope, yo. And then the title for this this section is "Be Happy While You Are Living." Chess, wrote Raymond Chandler, is about as elaborate a waste of human intelligence as you could find anywhere outside an advertising agency. If advertising, don't tell my roommate that. If advertising is a waste of intelligence, it isn't a very serious one. Not more than 100,000 men and women work in advertising agencies in the United States. Less than 0.1% of the working population. About 15,000 work in British agencies. Most of the people I know in agencies strike me as well cast for their work and reasonably happy in it. Whenever I think that someone is wasting his talents in advertising, I tell him so. One of my partners is a superb naturalist and secretly resented every day he spent in the agency. On my advice, he had retired. Went on to save endangered species of fauna from extinction. In the words of the Scottish proverb, be happy while you're living, for you're a long time dead. I like that. A few advertising people regard advertising as an unworthy occupation. Thus, the head of the agency in Paris that helped Francois Mitterrand become president of France called his autobiography, "Don't Tell My Mother I Work in an Advertising Agency." She thinks I play the piano in a whorehouse. Poor chap. Oh my god. I just want to say that one more time. Oh my god. A few advertising people regard advertising as an unworthy occupation. Thus, the head of the agency in Paris that helped Francois Mitterrand become president of France called his autobiography, "Don't tell my mother I work in an advertising agency. She thinks I play the piano in a whorehouse." Oh my god. Those of us who study public opinion surveys are aware that the lay public thinks we admin are rascals. Dr. Gallup recently asked people to rate 24 professions for honesty. Top marks went to clergymen, bottom marks to trade union leaders, car salesmen, and advertising practitioners. The stereotype of the huckster dies hard, but I don't think our poor image keeps many of us awake at night. I don't sleep at night. I've never felt any inclination to give up my job and become a clergyman. I enjoy my work, and sometimes feel proud of its results. I'm sorry, my glasses are kind of dirty. And I don't know what to clean. I have like a rag, so. But I can't see where because my glasses are dirty. Yeah, this one. How to apply for a job. Don't telephone. Write to 3 or 4 agencies and enclose your curriculum vitae. Be sure to type your letter and take a lot of trouble with it. In their book, Writing That Works, my partners Kenneth Roman and Joel Rafelson offer this golden advice. 1. Spell names right. Of course. It's astonishing how often job applicants misspell the names of the agencies they want to work for. The message that gets through right off the bat is, this applicant can't be seriously interested in working here. He didn't even take the trouble to find out how to spell our name. Number 2, identify the sort of job you're applying for. State it clearly and at once. Say what led you to apply, a want ad, a recommendation from a friend, whatever. A letter applying for a job as a research analyst starting in this mysterious way. Dear Mrs. Smith, it's spring already, a time to think about planting seeds. Some seeds are small, like apple seeds, others are bigger. Coconuts, for example. But bigger litter, a seed can grow and flourish if it's planted in proper soil. What the fuck? The applicant would have done better to start like this. Dear Mrs. Smith, I understand that you're looking for a research analyst. Mrs. Smith doesn't have time to play guessing games with her mail. What the fuck? Oh my god, dude. I forgot how good, like alcohol and a good book. It's like fucking everything. It has to be good though. If it's boring, Number 3, be specific and factual. Once you've made clear what job you want, then touch on your chief qualifications. Avoid egotistical abstractions like ambition mixed with a striving for excellence. It's one of my strongest assets. Yo. Oh boy. Oh boy. It's like writing your first resume. Like, God. I'm sorry. I'm like, I know I need to be looking here, but like, even like with my workout streams that I stopped doing, I always like look at myself so I actually feel like I'm talking to somebody, even though I know I'm talking to many people, and I'm like, I'm up here. So like, I'm always looking like up there. Like, okay. Number 4, be personal, direct, and natural. You're a human being writing to another human being. Neither of you is an institution. You should be businesslike and courteous, but never stiff and impersonal. The more your letter sounds like you, the more it will stand apart from the letters of your competitors. But don't try to dazzle your reader with your sparkling personality. You wouldn't show off in an interview, so why show off in a letter? If you make each sentence sound the way you would say it across a desk, there will be plenty of personality in your letter. Number 5, propose a specific next stop. Close your letter with a clear and precise statement of how you wish to proceed toward an interview. Avoid such mumblings as, hoping to hear from you soon. Thank you for your time and consideration. I'm looking forward to the opportunity of discussing a position with you. All such conclusions place the burden of the next step on your busy prospective employer. Why make him or her work in your interest? Do the job yourself like this. I'll call your office on Wednesday afternoon to see if you'd like me to come in for an interview. I'm free for an interview every morning until 8:45 and Thursday after 2:30. I'll call your office on Wednesday afternoon to find out if you would like to get together at any of those times. At this stage, a phone call makes things easy for the person at the other end. If you don't call him, he has to go to the trouble of calling or writing to you. The idea is to make it as simple as you possibly can for your prospective employer to set up an appointment at a time that's convenient to you. I'm always surprised by the illiteracy of men and women who look for jobs in advertising. I am bombarded with applications like this recent Lulu. Boom. My goal is to seek more challenging experiences to further develop my skills in marketing and advertising. I feel I have reached a plateau in my education. My objective is to obtain a top-level management position utilizing extensive experiences in marketing communications areas as a viable contribution to corporate objectives. My creative background and expertise involves a wide range of areas in the development of objectives, strategies, and marketing communications programs to meet these goals. If you will take my advice, don't get a job in advertising unless it interests you more than anything in the world. There are many different kinds of jobs, calling for very different skills, all the way from art direction to statistics. All the jobs can be performed by women, in some cases better than by men. Okay, that sentence was unnecessary, but the pay is good, but don't expect the gold that Cosimo de Medici promised Cellini. There are easier ways to get rich. Yeah, we didn't need that sentence. That sentence could have been left out. That could have been the end of the paragraph right there. What the fuck, yeah. Oh my god. Okay, so that's how we're gonna end chapter 3. Chapter 4. How to run an advertising agency. I'm actually very interested in this chapter. I love this book actually. This book is fucking. There's a little bit of unnecessary content in there, but like it's pretty lit. Mm, mm. Okay, so now we're just gonna study and relax. There's about another hour left to this track. I'm gonna go get something to eat real quick. I'll be right back. And yeah, we're gonna get back to work. But I gotta get a snack first. Well, not a snack. I gotta get breakfast. I gotta get some real food. You know what I'm saying? All right. So enjoy the lo-fi. That's no copyright. And I'll be right back in a little bit. Actually, you know what? We're about 2 hours into the stream, and I'm pretty confident that I'm gonna be studying for more than 2 hours. So I'm gonna cut the stream here, make it just like a book reading stream, and then like I'll come back after I finish eating and start a whole nother stream. Cause the restream thing is like a 6 hour limit. Yeah, it's like whatever. But yeah, that was pretty fun. Let me know what you guys think. I'm probably gonna finish this book anyway, regardless, because I like it. But if you especially enjoy it, maybe I'll do some more readings. I'll actually pay for Confessions of an Advertising. You know, I think that's one book I haven't read because it's kind of difficult to get hold of for free. Yeah, I know there's ways to do it, but like I don't want to get a virus. You know what I'm saying? But like I'll figure it out. I'll figure it out. Just let me know what you think, and like maybe we'll continue this. But for now, I hope you guys enjoyed it, and let me know if you want some more. Yes.